So I'll start off with the mayor's report. I'm sure all of you have noticed by now that West Valley is open, yay. And I think that's going to really help with the traffic on Frontage Avenue. I don't have to sit through 2 lights to try to get to work in the morning, so that's alleviated a lot of that. I also wanted to thank Councilmember Walker. We attended the firefighters pancake fundraiser a week ago Saturday, helped out with that for their benevolent fund. They were able to raise about $1,700 and served about 400 pancakes to about 150 people. So it was a pretty fun event. We were, Councilmember Walker, myself, and Mayor Nancy Backus were there helping out with that. Also on Sunday, the Auburn Farmer Market has opened up, and again, I want to thank Councilmember Walker and Councilmember Garberdine for coming and participating in the grand opening celebration, as well as they had a booth there with the Always Brothers event that's going to be coming up here in July, raising money for that. And I think maybe Councilmember Garberdine might speak on that later on. Also, on your utility bill that you received, you should have a notification in there regarding the city's policy on fireworks. We're getting very close to that, so I asked to have it in the June utility bill, and pretty soon you're going to be seeing the signage around town, and it's also on Channel 21 to remind you of the city's use of fireworks. What goes up, blows up is illegal, basically. The other thing is the groundbreaking on Stewart Road will be held tomorrow at 3 o'clock, as the location is at the right-of-way over by Gordon.
In front of Valley Freightliner.
In front of Valley Freightliner at 3 o'clock. Anybody's welcome to attend. That's going to be the official groundbreaking for starting that project. Pretty excited to get that moving forward and getting some projects moving on. Last thing I want to mention is AWC comes out with a magazine called City Vision, and this year there's an article in there, and the whole article is based on, the whole magazine is leadership issues, and regeneration, revitalization, and renewal, and the City of Pacific is mentioned in that article as well. It starts off with the Oso Darrington article, and Mayor Darrington, and all the things that he is dealing with the Oso landslide, and in the middle of that article is the story about Pacific and how we're rebuilding ourselves and moving on, and then it goes back to the Oso. It's a really good read. One thing that I did state to them, I just want to be very clear, when they interviewed myself as well as our finance director and our city clerk, when they were talking to me, and I told them that I did not want to make any negative comments about the previous administration, that at this point there's nothing I can do about it, we're just moving forward, and that's my stance that I take with staff. We talked about it in staff meetings, and now that is stuff in the past, can't do anything about it, just fix things and move forward and not dwell on it. So if you have an opportunity to read this, everything that is in there, they did their own research. And so there are some pretty harsh comments made, I believe, about the previous administration. But it does show the city in a favorable light as far as moving forward. And so, anyway, with that ends my report. We'll move on to the finance report.
Good evening. Update on union negotiations, not much to tell. I did trade emails with Richard Groff, and he told me he would get back to me soon, and the last email, that was last Wednesday. So I'm awaiting for some kind of reply to set up the first meeting. Hopefully it'll be in the next couple weeks. I'll let you know as soon as I find out. Our wireless network, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's up and running. We got the new router in today, the replacement router, and it's working well so far, so keep our fingers crossed. Something else, we have 3 weeks between the 23rd meeting and the 14th meeting of July, 23rd of June. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to pay bills because we have to, and I'll just run them by the finance committee during that time, probably on a weekly basis, so you guys can lay eyes on it, and then we'll bring it to council on the 14th of July. Okay? So any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, you have your court stats. I know that Kelly had presented them to council at a workshop. I don't know if you had any questions, but she provided them as well in your book. Public safety.
I attended a WASPIC conference over in Spokane a couple weeks ago, and I just briefly discussed what the major points were in the topics. And the first one was because Governor Inslee has made it known that there will be no execution of anybody on death row under his watch. That generated some concern, I guess, among some people, and the mayor, the governor said his senior advisor to WASPIC. And so in our meeting, she wanted to hear some of the discussion and kind of get our group's take on it. And, it was a lively discussion. And I think it was good. I hope she took things back to the governor. I just bring that up because we anticipate further legislation coming on that. There's called a campaign, Below 100 campaign, and that is there's a campaign to lower the death of police officers to under 100, which hasn't been done for years, since 1944. And right now we average, over the 10 years, there's 150 officers die, and it's not through felonious acts, not all of them. A lot of traffic accidents and collisions are the leading cause. So they put on a great show, presentation, and I've asked our coalition if we would pay to bring that presentation to our coalition agencies so that our officers are the ones that should see this presentation. So we're going to discuss that Wednesday at our meeting. We addressed suicide by cop, which has become an enormous issue throughout the nation. And 36% of all shootings, 43 shootings are now created by suicide by cop. That was discussed, and we don't have really a way to tackle it. I'm just passing that on as information. And then we had a presentation on Christopher Dorner was the anti-Lake PD officer who was fired years ago and went on a rampage. And it was called 10 Nights of War. And it was a really good presentation. We saw video, audio, the work among the agencies, and there was thousands of police officers involved in how they coordinated the efforts. And so I do have a copy of that. I have the video or the presentation if anybody's interested. And there were 7 agencies recognized for accreditation. And that brings the total number of agencies in the state that are accredited to 53. And there are just under 3,300 agencies in the state. So that's where we stand. Are there any questions?
Questions from council? All right, thank you, John. All right, next we have Public Works.
Last week we had the bid opening for Valentine. Clint and John were able to be there. There was 4 bidders. Icon was low bidder. We'll be dealing with that a little later in the council meeting. Also, as Leanne said, we are having a, as the mayor said, I apologize. We are having the groundbreaking for Stewart Road tomorrow, and you're all welcome to attend. So it's at 3 o'clock right in front of Valley Freightliner in the right-of-way there, so hopefully we'll get it done before too much traffic gets backed up. So, for those of you who have met him, Steve Gorchester from TIB is going to try to be there if the traffic doesn't get too bad. So, we had our Public Works Committee meeting, and later on I'll let them report on that. And it was Katie's, Councilmember Garbaging's first meeting, and she's learning, and she's doing a good job, I think. So. Any questions?
Questions from council? Thank you. All right, next up, we have community services, and Darcy had to come sick, so we'll be moving forward with that. Any city council members that have anything that they would like to report on tonight?
I just want to remind all council members on July 12th, we'll be meeting at 9:30 at Alpac Elementary to line up for the parade. Clint has secured the antique fire truck for us to ride on.
One from Pacific.
The one from...
Yeah, the first fire truck that Pacific ever purchased. I hope I have everyone's participation. Just like the deer in the headlights. But that's all I have to
As long
say.
as you notice on my truck, I'm good.
No.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Garbaging.
And Leanne had said that last Sunday was the opening of the farmer's market in Auburn, and Fran was very wonderful and diligent in getting us a booth for Always Brothers. And Fran and I worked it, and Leanne worked a part of it, and my husband worked a part of it. And I'm very happy to say that as of last Sunday, we have raised $700.04 total in monetary contributions. We have a jar at Dairy Queen. My daughter has a jar at Red Robin in downtown Issaquah. There is one at Rusty Wreck in Jerry House, and there's one more that, it's across the street sports office, so it's going well. We are going to reach the goal, so.
Cool. Okay. Any other reports from council? No? All right, boards and committees. Finance committee.
We'll meet tomorrow night, 6:30.
All right. Governance committee.
We meet this Friday the 13th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay. Human services committee.
Human Services, we met last Thursday? Tuesday. We all met. Basically talked, the primary discussion was around a cooling center, and Darcy was going to communicate with Auburn and look at their plan and look at see what we could do to mirror that and move forward with that. So we'll be talking, I'm sure, to the mayor and figure out what best plan to lay out. That's the last we got with that.
Okay, great. All right, public safety committee.
We met last week, and it was myself, Dick Case, the council, and Clint. And we had a great discussion. We talked about the issues that Mr. Hollenbeck brought up in front of council, and Chief Calkins is going to look further into that to get more detail and statements so that we can move forward with this. And then we toured the public safety building, which was interesting, and Clint and I had decided that I need to learn the parameters a little bit better, so I talked with Chief Calkins, and I'm going to do a ride-along with one of the officers as soon as we can get, he has one particular officer he wants to work with, and I believe when I'm available, he's on vacation, and we're going to get it figured out.
Okay.
was very interesting, it was very good, and I'm glad to be on the committee. And I got elected to be the chair, so bear with me, I'm learning.
Great. So I have a question. So my understanding is that the situation, the Hollenbeck situation was brought up. Has the Public Safety Committee scheduled another meeting to meet, to revisit this?
Did you want to go ahead and speak on that?
When I obtained information of, Councilmember Garvin being discussed, I'm gonna notify her and schedule a meeting right then.
Okay. All right, so let's be sure that we don't forget that.
Right, we're not going to.
Follow through. Okay, perfect, thank you so much.
I believe we discussed that we were gonna, Mr. Calkins, or Chief Calkins was going to get with Mr. Hollenbeck to get the statements, and after those statements are brought in and signed, then we can move forward so that we have, everything in writing and can move forward from there.
Perfect. Any questions from council? All right. Okay, thank you. Next on is the Public Works Committee.
We met last Wednesday, it was just kind of update on what was going on and everything else. The main topic was reawarding of the Valentine Avenue, which we'll be discussing later today. That, we didn't really have anything major decisions on our thing.
All right, Technology Committee.
We have a meeting, yeah, next Thursday. Do we have anything for the agenda?
We have a change. I'm gonna be out of town on that Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So we have two choices. One is, if Amy could sit on, and I can give you all the information you need. Because I wanna have the director, IT director, to come and present some options for the sound system and other things we've been talking about. Or we can move it to the week after when I was back. So let's talk about that after the meeting, please. Okay.
Great. Civil Service Commission, anybody here for that? Park Board?
So the park board did a little tour the Saturday before last. Most of the board was along. We drove around and looked at all the different parks. Some of them I had been to before. I think the main thing that we noticed was that the maintenance need to be brought up to snuff quite a bit, and that was a topic discussion last Tuesday at our board meeting that the mayor attended, which was great. And so I think that's one of the main things we want to look at, is to try to get the maintenance up to snuff on a lot of those properties. I think that we're hiring some summer people. They're being advertised right now. I would suggest maybe we could start that a little earlier in the future, because what we were seeing a few at the parks were the grass was getting pretty tall already, and so if they're just starting in the next, sometime in June, that might be a little late. Understanding sometimes the weather is a little wetter and maybe it doesn't grow up as fast, but maybe we could start a little earlier and try to get maintenance started. The other topic was the Morgan property, which I understand we're going to have a meeting on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
June 25th.
Oh, excuse me, June 25th, right?
6th.
Whatever, yeah, it's not this
It's a
week.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks away.
You said the 26th.
So it's 25th, I thought I put in the email.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
I think you're right. Actually,
Well-
I had in my head it was this week. Raring to go.
Sorry.
Talk about it.
I wanted to give everybody ample time to be able to get
That's
on
a good
it.
idea, that's a great idea. So anyway, that was one of the main topics at the last park board meeting, but we're meeting regularly, and I think prepared to move forward.
I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Okay, I have one question.
Okay.
Can you give me a list of the parks that need to be mowed?
I have a list from that meeting, I'll share it with Ken.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the meeting minutes, so I could add that, I guess, to the list. Because we did go through, Kate had a list of what was going on at every park, and you did get I haven't
I
gotten
wrote
it.
down everything.
Yeah, and you were writing down furiously, so
I
I
can get
was
it from
hoping
her.
to get that from Kate, and I was gonna contact her and say, can I get a copy of that, so. Okay, Jean?
Park Board Chair Hull expected to be here tonight, and she asked me to make a short comment if she couldn't make it. Is that all right with you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna try and get this done good again. On the park board tour, when the park board went up to the Westfield Passive Park, they noticed some stumps and bulldozing and other stuff happening. So they asked me to accompany Ms. Hull and Mr. Nietzsche, park board member Nietzsche and Chairman Hull, on Friday afternoon. We did go up and look, and there are some incursions between the Petrich rental on the north side of 3rd Avenue, adjacent to the park, where somebody's built a trail from one property to the other, cut down several trees, taken out the barbed wire fence that separated the city property from the Petrich property, and she wanted to bring that up tonight. One of the things we talked about in the car was that perhaps the park department should have a policy of a drive-by, if not monthly, but quarterly of every park, so things like this could be caught in the future before they get out of hand. It looked like these trees had been cut last year sometime. They're definitely on the city property. And they weren't taken for firewood, they were just cut and left. And they're the same trees, the same corner that my parents had a problem with Mr. Petrich when, before, in the 80s and the 90s.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, planning commission, nothing to report. Pierce County Regional Council. All right. And so Sound Cities Association is next week. I'm not going to be able to attend that meeting. Councilmember Kay, will you be able to attend that meeting? The 11th. Yeah, I thought it was over there.
This week?
Or no, yeah, it's this week, yeah. I'm not going to be able to. We did talk about it, I just want to make sure. Okay, and the skateboard meeting, I did not make last month, I'll be at the next month's meeting. Valley Regional Fire Authority. Tomorrow night. All right, good, moving on. So let's start with resolution number 2014-176, the surplus of the microwave. Thank you, I appreciate it.
See if I can go by memory. The microwave in the senior center was non-functional, and she's asking to surplus this microwave. Apparently, a new microwave has been donated, so they just want to surplus it.
Question?
Move to approve resolution 2014-176.
Second. Okay, Councilmember Putnam, would you like to speak to your motion?
This was workshopped thoroughly, would suggest in future perhaps something that's not controversial may even go on to the consent agenda.
Councilmember Walker. All right, any other comments from council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, roll call council, please.
Councilmember Garberding.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Kay.
Aye.
Councilmember Kaminsky. Aye. Councilmember Putnam.
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger.
Aye.
Councilmember Walker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, resolution 2014-174, updating the city of Pacific investment.
Okay. Last week we had Peter speak to us about the opportunities we could have with this new policy. I have, like I said, I have spoken with the city attorney, and I've made sure that everything she wanted was in this resolution. One thing I can say is if you pass this tonight, that because we'll have the opportunity to take care of, to put out some bond instruments to go out and put some city money into it, we will most likely have more income from investment interest than we have in the last 3 years combined, just in the 6 months. Because the difference in how the state pool has gone down compared to what we can get for a 5-year, $1 million or however we do it. And that's something that I am going to speak with the finance committee tomorrow night. So I think, the only thing I did, Councilmember Putnam had a question about the last page, and I did change the verbiage. Did you read that? Remember the one that's in section
Oh, yeah.
3.11150? So that should address your concern?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that in case we do need to sell it, we can sell it at a loss. That should never happen, but just in case, we can protect ourselves that way.
Okay, questions from council? Council pleasure?
Move to approve.
Resolution number 2014-174.
I'm second.
Councilmember Case.
We went over it, in a couple of, finance committee meetings, just in discussion. Basically, directing us to put something in writing so that we could act on it as a council, and it's been done. I think it's a good idea to try to make some money on our money, and anything else from that?
Councilmember Gordon.
I agree, I think it's time to move it forward and get it updated and get the money that we can put in to make more money.
Any further comments from council? Comments from the audience? Seeing none, roll call of council.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Case?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Councilmember Steiger?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerber?
Aye.
Motion